Hi, everybody. I'd like to get started this evening, and I'll give you a quick history about what I do and how I got to this crazy place. I put three kids through college and worked at the Princeton Review while I was doing that. And so I knew a lot about colleges and had worked gathering data for them and analyzing data and creating media campaigns about college. But I felt like nobody was talking to parents. So I wrote a book called 101 Things Parents Need to Know About College that their kids would never ask. And there it is. I have not updated it other than in my head and in your presentation. So tonight you'll hear an updated look at what I think parents should be thinking about as they prepare to send their kids off to school, things that your child would probably never ask. I thought I'd start with the most important thing, is that a lot has changed about college. It's not the place that you knew or that you've heard about, or if you had older kids. Colleges have changed dramatically in the last few years. And in particular, the big areas are the debt that you can run up, the high cost. College has, I don't understand, quadrupled in cost in the last decade. The fact that technology is integral. It's not just like, you can bring a computer. It's everywhere, and being connected is a part of the college experience. It's the fact that there's so many alternatives to traditional colleges, that we'll look at some of those tonight. It's the fact that there are new majors that you and I probably have never heard of. So you can major in video gaming, or major in sustainability, or major in social media. And those are things that are really new. And of course, if you've read the news lately, safety on campus has been addressed more seriously this college season, I think, than ever before. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I've got a bunch of slides. I'll move quickly through them, but if you have questions, just type them in, and I'll be watching and be happy to take your questions. So what I like to say is, if the first generation, when my kids went to school, they called us helicopter parents. Today, I think they call them drone parents, and the New Yorker cartoon epitomizes that. So drone parenting, or when you're really hovering in there collecting data. And why is that happening? Well, because, I'm sorry, my slides aren't updating fast enough here. Because of a lot of reasons. Drone parenting is partly because we know what went on in college. We were there. We're the most educated generation of parents ever to send kids off to college. We're sending them to very expensive schools, probably schools that cost more than many houses that we bought. Schools have listened to parents' requests for involvement and not made that ivory tower is going away. The world's a scarier place, and maybe not really, but it's perceived as scarier because we are so much more in the know about everything. And the skills that you learn in college don't really last, so we're worried. Let's say you did even major in computers and you learned C++. Well, that's going to last you about 5 years after school, and then you're going to have to go learn something else. So our parenting doesn't stop, and yet we've got to figure out what to do. And the communication tools, I can't stress enough that you are going to have to make some very personal decisions about where you draw the line and where you don't, because it's very, deans of admissions tell me all the time that the student will be sitting in a chair and saying, wait, I have to text my parent to see if I should take this class, or what I should major in. So you can be there, right at their side, right in their pocket, 24/7. But I would urge you to believe that you raised them right for those first 18 years, and believe that there is some knowledge to be gained in failure, even though grades do still count. Remember that when they call you and tell you something's urgent, it usually is, I need my new wedge slippers, or I need a new blazer. It's not typically urgent. And even when they call you when something is upsetting, they call you in the middle of that upset. And so it typically goes away and you're still fretting about it. So a little bit of humor in these situations is good, and a lot of unconditional love and support without the nagging. So I call this CALDAR, College Radar. When do you worry and when do you not worry? And I will tell you that studies have shown that the first 15 minutes that you spent on campus that first day are often the friends that stick with you for your entire college career. So take note and make note of that. And schools are getting much better about introducing roommates ahead of time, letting the kids talk. So roommate issues surface quickly, and they should be taken care of quickly. Resident advisors are really good at dealing with this. I actually had a nephew who went to college today and was a little upset about one of his roommates' habits, and he's going to let it go for a week and see. But in that first week, you try and resolve all of these things, and there are sometimes just bad combos, and nobody wants that, and nobody wants your child to be miserable. And change your mindset. Just remember, you think your kids are going off to college, but there really are about, the school year is 180 days, and there are 4 months of vacation if you look across a college year. So make a mindset of they'll be back, and not only will they be back, but they will be different people when they come back. And you decide how much of a shrine you want to make it, or how much of a thing. I call it ruling from a distance. And if you're used to ruling as a parent, as I always like to say, it didn't work out for the British when they tried to rule the U.S. from far. It's not going to work for you when you try to rule your kids from afar. So you're really changing. You're really letting them go off on an exploration. And actually, legally, and we'll talk about this a little later on, they have student rights in addition, in mostly protecting their right to privacy in terms of grades and health. And every college has some varying scenarios, but it's really good to look at those policies before they get there. So anyhow, we know that the students have debt. We know their skills will be obsolete. We know that the job market is crazy out there. And I'll share this with you. I always say to my kids, you can major in what your passion is. Just make sure that you take some web, some statistics, some business, and learn a foreign language. I think even if you're going to be a ballet dancer, if you're going to be an architect, these skills translate, and nobody can afford to be without them. I also think that we need to start understanding that we always had a picture of a college in our head, nice foliage, different colors, kids on the quad. Not every school needs a quad and a tree. There are so many more opportunities for our children than colleges have ever had in the past. That can be a community college, which are actually the fastest growing segment of the college community. You can go to online universities. You can go to experiential universities. So Western Governors University is an online university. The Minerva Project out in San Francisco is a great example on the cover of last month's Atlantic magazine of something that's combined both campus and online life in a great new experiment. There are mobile courses, computer courses, just about at every school. Your kids are going to want to go abroad. They're going to want to travel for semesters. And there's much more emphasis on experiential learning, internships. So really, whether it's a book like Princeton Review's College Guide, where I worked, or whether it's Kaplan or one of the others, don't underestimate the scope of colleges, and understand your child's personality. One of our kids went to a service school where the kids ran the school. They literally had to put 15 hours a week into cleaning the bathrooms and painting and serving lunches, and they really had a very different experience. Next thing you have to do is set your expectations of who's responsible for what. Finances we'll talk about a little more, but there are pros and cons of kids having to earn money while they're going to school. Teaches them responsibility, no doubt, but it also may conflict with their schoolwork. So that's something we're going to talk about in a second on how you can make the decision. My personal rule of thumb is freshman year, if you can avoid a job, get used to things, get your feet wet in academia, and then if you can get a job at school, it's always preferable to getting a job off campus because schools are more understanding about missed hours and having to study. For parents, what do you want to do? Not that we don't trust our kids and not that we want to manage their lives, but their dates. You need to know when they're coming home and when the holidays are and when the summers are. That is the pertinent dates that you should be setting down when the semesters start. Also some big long-term dates. When do they need to declare a major, if they do? You need to resolve the miscellaneous items. Where are you banking? What are you doing for health? What are you doing for computers? And most college websites all have the answers to that. So really pore over that college website, resolve technology. You may be a T-Mobile user at home, but your child's going to a school in a great AT&T area. Maybe time to switch carriers for them. Follow the school's guidelines. And we'll talk about academics a little bit. Academics, parents always, they tend to get a little scared of this one, and really you shouldn't. This is a discussion that you should be having with your child, even if you've never been to college. And this again is up to you, I would tell my kids that I put a 4-year limit on this, and that means some careful planning, that I wasn't paying for more than 4 years of college, and that means that you actually had to know what you were doing. So you also want to talk to them about challenging themselves versus grades. We know grades count. I mean, that's just the way, except in a very few different types of university settings. Brown is a good example, where grades don't count. So what I like to have the discussion with kids about is mix the heavier subjects with the lighter subjects, especially in that first year. You know, give yourself some confidence. Maintain good grades, but be willing to take some consequences of a worse grade to take a class that's really great. And the one other thing I say to my kids, and I say to any kids, and kids today use this excuse more than I think I ever did, and that's that I didn't like the teacher. Well, this is not a dating contest, and we're all going to have teachers we like and don't like, but not much of an excuse. So course catalog should be your required reading as a family. Really read it, really know your graduation requirements the day that you get there. Really understand what are core requirements, and generally what are major requirements to graduate with a major. And then know, you know, do you want to review the schedule? We used to love just taking a piece of scratch paper and putting a few scenarios down of, if I took this semester, if I took this semester, could I really go away junior year? So make multiple copies of a typical schedule and work it through. And it can kind of be fun, letting your child drive the process. Again, they're looking for a reasonable load. You're looking for them to get out in 4 years. So I would say you want them to take as many courses and credits as money can buy, and then you have to sort of say, you know, find that balance. Do know that when you make a decision, if you don't change it quickly, if you go and enroll, there are penalties for withdrawing. There's a sort of a grace period at every school where you're not charged for withdrawing or dropping, and then things start to there is a paid penalty, and if you withdraw from a class, you know, you don't get credit for the class. So understand the rules involved with mindset changes. Understanding what happens if you transfer. Understand what happens when you get AP credits in high school that need to transfer. And you're not going to figure this out yourself, nor is your child. There are professionals at the colleges who will help you, but it's in your best interest to work with your child and kind of figure out the best plan for you as a family. It's really a negotiation. So, College 2.0, I mean, you will not believe that, I joke and say they really never have to go to school. They can just stay in the bed. Most lectures are available online. Most class notes are available online. There are collaborative tools to let students work online. There are mommy cams set up on campuses where you can go wave to your mom every day. That kids are walking around with the power of the computing center that I went to college with in their pocket now. So partly, I think what we need to tell them is there's no substitute for being there unless it's an online class. And actually, online classes are really good, if you've never taken one, at inviting collaboration with parents, with students. Like they don't let you just sit idly by, they really engage you. So they'll be there. Grades, should you expect to see them? That, again, is a negotiation that you have with your children, not with the school, because the school does not just not owe you the chance to see the grades, it's the student's right to protect their privacy. Every school has a little different thing, but the easiest thing you can do is say to your child, you know what, well, I'm footing the bill, I'd like to see the grades. And most reasonable children will let you see their grades. And so just remember to have that conversation, not with the school, but with your child. Proper balance, as you know, classes come in all different kinds, surveys and lectures and workshops. So you want to balance. Labs, we know, are probably the most labor-intensive of classes. And so, again, it becomes part of the knowing yourself and part of the challenging yourself. Plan early for enrichment programs, whether it's study abroad, whether it's a summer session. There are different consequences depending on what the school has in terms of transferring credits from semesters abroad. Watch bulletin boards. This is like the best advice I can give to any parent. You take your kids to college, I don't know, they can just walk by the bulletin board 500 times. You can find that job or that opportunity or that summer internship. And seriously, by January, if your kids are going off to college now, they should be thinking about their summer in January. That's just the way it is. Schools are better and better at providing special services that kids would never think to ask for. So gentle reminder to you to remind them there are organizational courses. There are tutoring and tutors available. There are academic resources. There are resource centers for all sorts of learning disabilities. There are testing modifications. But your student won't think to ask these things typically, so you will do it, in conjunction with them, and be aware of asking. Four-year formula in most schools that offer credits are pretty easy. You look at the number of credits required, you look at the number that you have coming in with, and you divide. And again, I can't stress that enough. My rules: don't call any professors on your kid's behalf unless it's like really a crazy life or death situation, but let them fight their own battles. Don't decide their schedules, and remember, as tempting as it may be, offer constructive criticism if they share papers with you, but don't volunteer to edit. It's tempting. Other miscellaneous things. Sports players got to keep up their grades, and some campuses make that easier than others, depending on which division your college is in. Extracurriculars, some children just go to school and sign up for everything and are overburdened by their extracurricular activities. Some forget to sign up for anything, or they're shy. So again, carefully monitor that. And when it comes to a major, remember there are so many resources. They'll each have an advisor on campus, and they should really, doesn't hurt to nudge and say, did you visit your advisor, at least once a semester, if not more. Remember, sobering, but 50% of kids do not graduate in 4 years. Working and studying, we talked about this. Preferable to always work on campus when you can. Finances, here's the big thing that's changed in terms of colleges and finances, it's a cashless campus. And as credit card users, you all know, imagine if you could use your credit card just anywhere, in your own refrigerator, at your own bookstore. And just, there is a tendency that kids have when the currency is their student ID card to swipe. To swipe when they forget their pencil in the dorm rather than walk back, go buy a new pencil. So they really need to understand that this campus card, which is often good in towns at local restaurants, which is good for a million different things, is their responsibility. Budget accordingly and make sure that they understand. And that, that's one thing you do have, say, you can look at the credit card bills, and I would advise, at least in the first year, to watch their credit cards with them and do this jointly until you're somewhat sure they can manage money. First year, students get tremendously hit upon by credit card companies with crazy offers to, 0% down, but then it goes up to like 17% afterwards. So have that conversation with them about not signing up for multiple credit cards. Most campuses have ATM machines pretty much everywhere now. So it's never been easier to spend money. So a fixed budget and an awareness of what's going on is really important. And so, again, before college, sit down, make your budget, set those expectations. If you haven't done it and they're gone, do it over the phone on the first phone call. I'm going to talk a little bit of health and campus safety. And again, campus sexual harassment and assault has been a really big topic that's gotten a lot of hype from the media this year. Most campuses have responded very responsibly by holding seminars on the very first day of orientation where they will address in no uncertain terms what sexual harassment is and what date rape is and how to report these things. The resident advisors, the faculty, everybody's been trained. So there's a lot of attention there, but you should also know most schools have tremendous health services available to these kids. They're used to counseling. They're used to after-hours crises. They're used to campus safety where you can call for a ride home. So but again, your kids may just sort of be unaware that you can call this number anytime, even though it's up all over campus, and get a safe ride home. And so it's sort of up to you to sort of scout out in advance and have that conversation with them. So as I said, dorm room keep cards are really important. Bicycles and iPods are the things stolen most frequently. If you can engrave them, if you can take down the serial numbers, if you can use apps, there are little trackers now that you can stick on your bicycle and actually track it on your iPhone. And there are phone trackers that track a lost phone also, lost my phone apps. I would make sure your kids are outfitted there. I would get them in the habit of closing windows if they're going to be away for a long time, locking doors, and putting their expensive equipment away. You know that most kids go to school with a lot of really expensive equipment now, and that's very tempting. And a lot of the theft that goes on in campus turns out to be from people on the campus. So just be aware. The whole idea of long-distance parenting is never ending from, once you send those kids off to college, and your communication style should match theirs. If they're embarrassed to be on Skype or FaceTime with you all day long and don't want that, I would respect that. I would pick the path that they like the best and try not to overuse it. I went to school at a different time where you called Sunday nights, collect, and that was the end of the conversation. Now that we can be in touch all the time, it's different. And just remember, they never call you to tell you what a great time they're having. They usually call when they have a problem they want to discuss. So just keep that in mind every time they call. That is probably short-lived and few and far between, and use that call darn. A little bit about fraternities and sororities, because they are popular. There's arguments to be made for and against them, but my advice to parents is to check the costs. They are all different. Some have terrible reputations, some have fantastic reputations as service organizations, as ways to make lifelong friends, and especially in larger schools where kids really feel a need to belong somewhere. So if your kids are thinking about a frat or sorority, again, look it up. Look up the costs involved and weigh it against dorm living or off-campus living if they want. Look at the aggregate GPA, grade point average of the frat house or the sorority, and make sure that, I would say the best candidates for frats and sororities are ones who already have a pretty good sense of self and who they are. It's an easy place to get molded. Eating, you almost need a PhD in eating just to pick out a meal plan when you go to college, but the weight gain has certainly improved. The diet has hugely improved. There are healthy options for everybody. Choosing a meal plan can be really complicated. You can change it if it's not working, and I think that every school has a grace period, so try different options. Some people don't eat 3 meals a day, some want snacks in their room, and the colleges go into great length on their websites. School records, not just your grade point average goes on it, but class withdrawals, any incidents that have happened at the school. Many schools have a 3 strikes limit, whether that is smoking and non-smoking areas, drugs. So you and your children should go to the college website and research what their policies are. And most college campuses, I can't think of one that doesn't have a parents association. And if you're so inclined, get involved. Here's my sneaky hints. If you're still looking for colleges, or even if you want to get a better sense of college, go to the garbage pails. You can tell more about a college by looking in the dumpsters, and especially about drinking, homework, assignments. You can tell a lot just from taking a walk around campus and looking in those garbage dumpsters. Remember I told you to look at the bulletin boards also. You find out how active and diverse a student population is by looking at the bulletin board. Storing things for the summer, start thinking about it now because it's such a nuisance, and if you want to put things in storage, those rooms go fast in any town. Read the Facebook pages, read the campus websites where kids are chattering about campus, and you will get a better idea of what life is like on that campus if you want. And those are my I'll end with sneaky hints. I'm happy to take questions or comments, and if there are, I'll give a moment for comments. Hope I didn't rush too much, but it's a big subject. And I'm going to see if Kara has anything for me, our wonderful hostess. And I think that we are good. So what I urge you to do is love your kids, let them fly. Whether you're looking or whether they're going, I've really enjoyed being here, and I hope that you've gleaned one important tip or two. So good luck for a great year. Talk to you soon. Oh, and for more, I'm going to stop this broadcast. For more, robin@robinraskin.com. You can send me an email. Okay? Bye-bye.